Mainline Hobby Supply is your one-stop store for model trains in G, O, S, H, O, N and Z scales, including locomotives, rolling stock, track, train sets and more to help build your model railroad. We are the largest model railroad shop in the area and we carry a wide range of model railroad supplies across scales. Our friendly staff is always available to help with your modeling needs and to special order anything you may require. Mainline Hobby Supply is in southern Pennsylvania, halfway between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. We are only an hour away from Baltimore and we are easy to get to from the 70, 81, 83 and 270 freeways. Plan to stop by on your next trip through Pennsylvania. Mainline Hobby Supply also has an online store that can cater to your modeling needs wherever you are located. With our large inventory, fixed shipping costs, friendly and knowledgeable service and prompt shipping, consider Mainline Hobby Supply for your next online order. Use the QR code to access our online store.
This Mainline Hobby Supply is owned by Brian Wolf, and I can't thank Brian enough for wanting to sponsor the HO segment. I really do appreciate it, and certainly the financial support that he provides for new tracks to help cover our out-of-pocket costs. The modeler who is the host for this segment is Edmund O'Rourke, and I'd like to turn to him now to be the host for the HO segment of our shows. So Ed, thank you so much for doing this.
Okay, good. So here's our HO scale modeling, what, why, how, sponsored by Mainline Hobby Supply. So first of all, what's HO scale? Okay, I don't know how many of us on the show are HO scalers. I get the feeling there are a lot of larger scale people, but HO scale was named because it was half O scale, more or less. It's 1/87th proportion, 3.5 millimeters to the foot. And HO scale, of course, also includes HON3, HON2, and HON30, which is HO narrow gauge that runs on N scale track. So you can use N scale mechanisms and N scale track if you want. I found this diagram. This is one of the best comparisons of scales that I have ever run across, because it shows a human being and the relative proportion of the different sizes of model trains to that human being. So you can see HO over here, and how that sort of lines up to what a human being would be. Oops, what happened? There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. So why would you model an HO scale? Well, first of all, the size. You can get a fair amount of railroad in a given space. HO came about because they developed motors that would fit in a smaller scale. Originally, that was a problem. Originally, it was 6 volt and became 12 volt after World War II. 2-rail track, although not all of it is 2-rail track. And it's big enough to detail and handle. HO and OO scale were competitive for a while. HO eventually won out. Why? Well, I don't know. But if you go back into the old model railroaders, there were competing articles in there all the time about which was going to be better, HO or OO. Eventually, HO won out. It's by far the most popular scale in terms of the number of people that say they model in it. It's followed by N scale, O scale, G, which is, large scale garden scale, and S. What are the advantages? Well, first of all, because it's so popular, there's a wide variety of manufacturers and dealers. Therefore, also a wide selection of models of all types, including many prototypes, eras, narrow gauge, and at various price points. There's ready to run, there's kits. It's a large selection of scratch building supplies, windows, doors, etc., and generally good availability of products. There are also many other modelers in the scale, therefore there's plenty of support. If you have a problem, there's probably someone who's done the same thing that you're trying to do earlier. There's plenty of info in the hobby press. There are always complaints in the MR and RMC that they only cover HO scale, but that's because there's so many people in there and that's who seems to write for them. Again, the size, a reasonably large layout is possible in an average basement or spare room, and you're able to model to a very high level of detail if you wish. This is HO scale. This is Markland 3-rail. I put this in here because this is how I got started this was my first model railroading. My father brought a bunch of Markland HO 3-rail home from Germany. He was in Germany with the National Guard during the Korean War. That's my grandson in there. This is just a little bit of it that I've set up actually on a 36 by 80 foot hollow core door for them to play with over here in the family room when they come to visit, and they get a lot of fun out of that. And I like having it around because I've had it for so long. I have a lot more of it than this in boxes. This is also HO scale. This is a small switching layout that our division built to take the train shows, to show kids that show people there's more to model railroading than running things around a circle. This was in Model Railroader about 7 or 8 years ago. It was actually designed to be built on a 15-inch hollow core door. We adapted it so that we could move it places. But there's a lot of switching possibilities with this. It resides on a bookcase in my friend Roger's home when it's not at a train show. And it has a lot of expansion possibilities for someone who's in an apartment and doesn't have much room. And then there's also this. This is Drew James Canada Spokane and Pacific Railroad up in Clay, New York, which is a full basement full of trains. Drew models it's a freelance line, but it is somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. He has Canadian Pacific. He has Burlington Northern on there, and you can see the size and the scope of this type of, this is also possible in HO scale. Here's some more HO. This is mostly my stuff. I modeled the New Haven in about 1950, and if you're going to do that, you have to have electrics. So this is a brass EP4. The catenaries by Model Memories, which is down in Powhatan, Virginia. It is authentic New Haven design catenary. This is I think this is the Buzzards Bay Tower. This is a resin kit, which you can find. This one is an ancient Tyco trolley, I think, that I reworked into a work car, a line car, from a picture that I saw in a book of trolley cars. I'm a closet trolley modeler, Jim. So trolley are another interest of mine. But next time I have to downsize, I said I'm gonna just model a trolley line in the city. These are City Classics company houses in plastic. I modified this one into a tailor shop and worked on this one here. The FAs here are old Walther's train line models, going back a long ways. This is a design preservation models hobby. They have models building. They have a ton of stuff out there. This is Ray's Bar. My father-in-law always wanted to own a bar and never got the opportunity, so I built this one for him with his name on it. Some more HO. This is an AccuRail kit, which is basically a shake the box. It's not much different from the old Athearn blue box cars, but a lot of detail to it and very nice. It turns out very well. You can add I added some brake detail to it to make it a little more detailed. This is an Ambroid kit, which is, we say an Ambroid kit is just it's scratch building in a box. You get a bunch of wood and a plan that says, build the model and paint it, These are again, our brass electrics here. This is SS75 New Haven Station. I may talk about how I built this one a little later on in the programs. This is scratch built. This is a Proto 2000 plastic PA. Again, the EP4 in brass and Broadway models I5 Hudson. What are the disadvantages of HO scale? Size. Okay, a modest size layout consumes a fair amount of space. Size. I at one time thought if I went into N scale, I could build a whole lot more. Now I'm starting to think that maybe I should think about going to ON 30 or something so that I can see it and work on it with my senior fingers. The other problem with HO is ubiquity. If you build kit structures and you go around, you're going to see lots of those same structures on other people's layouts. Not a problem if you scratch built or kit bash, but you'll see a lot of the same things on HO scale layouts, obviously. It's also not as robust as the larger scales. The detail's more fragile and easy to damage, although I think it's a good place in between N scale and the larger scales, but it's not really suitable for young children. How do you get started? There are starter sets produced. They're not the $29.95 ones that were out there when I was first getting started, but they do produce starter sets with an Oval-Track, a power pack, and some locos and cars. There are reasonably priced locos and cars from Walthers, Athearn, Bachmann, Accurail, and others. Almost all of them now come at least DCC ready. They also will have DCC installed or even come with sound installed if you want. Atlas makes a lot of tracks, so does Walthers, so does Pico. You can start with an MRC power pack or an NCE Pro Cab or Digitrack Zephyr, which is an all-in-one DCC thing. You can find modest track plans, and a bunch of books are online. Model Railroader, I think, is aimed at the early model railroader, someone who's maybe in their first 5 years of modeling, although lately they've gotten a little more detailed with some of their stuff. And they have on their website, trains.com, a whole section devoted to beginners if people want to get started. We figured that small switching layout back here, let me go back to that one. We figured there was about $1,000 in that, but a lot of it, what we got was donated. But that partly has to do with the fact that we built it as robustly as we did, because we have to be able to take it apart and throw it in the back of a car to get it to places. But that whole layout with everything on there could be built for about $1,000. And you could do it in stages. I would also recommend anybody getting started that they consider joining the NMRA. I think there's a lot. They have a lot to offer beginners, and there's a lot of support there if you are an NMRA member. And that's all I got today. Unless if there's questions or comments, that's my workbench. It's over from the old, and this is the background is my former railroad where we moved in the spring. So this is gone, and I've got a new one starting over here in the other part of the basement, which is going to be in a bigger space. I have catenary because the superintendent of the Central New York Division, Brian Curry, who was a master model railroader, his passenger car was NN3, and he had it detailed enough that you could see the roll of paper coming off the toilet paper roll in the bathroom on it. And he said to me, Ed, how can you model the New Haven without catenary? And I didn't have an answer for that. So now I have catenary. And there you go.
But it's beautiful looking modeling. It really is. Is it powered?
All right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, the catenary? No,
Yeah.
no, the catenary is not part. I tell
How can-
people I'm
how
crazy, but I'm not insane.
How can you have, how can you possibly not have power?
in the catenary,
Yeah.
because most of the models aren't set up to run in HO, aren't set up to run that way.
Right.
The Markland stuff will run off the catenary, but most of them, it's not insulated for it. The insulating all of that would be a nightmare. And in the pre-DCC era, I toyed with that idea because I thought I could run the electrics off the catenary and the steam and the diesel off the rails and be able to bring them together or more when I wanted to. Fortunately, DCC came along before I went down that road.
Well, I was
but
just
yeah.
kidding. I was just kidding you because I imagine the work that's involved in doing it, but it's really beautiful to see. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, if I was running trolleys, I might consider that. With a single wire and a single unit. But to get all those tracks insulated and separated and not have short circuits all over the place, I think would be quite a challenge.
It's fun. It's fun, no question about it.
Oh, it is. Yeah, for sure.
Well, listen, thank you so very much, and look forward to continuing this series. I think it's going to be interesting, and I really appreciate you doing it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.